And welcome back to the Michael Cohen Show on our continued journey to 500,000 subscribers. Picked up over the weekend, 5,000 new subscribers, so thank you. And let's keep pushing the momentum. Hit subscribe, watch, comment, and please share with family and friends because the insanity, the stupidity, wait till you watch this episode. It's not stopping. And this morning, there was an unsurprising update. Judge Engelmayer, he denied the DOJ's request to unseal the grand jury documents related to Ghislaine Maxwell. Now, look, like I've been saying all along, the judge reasoned that the public already knows everything that's in these files, and therefore it isn't necessary to unseal the documents. Now, I want to show you part of the filing. And, I kind of don't like to read from the judge's decisions because I think you could do that yourself. But Judge Engelmayer makes some incredible points here. He claims that the government's argument for unsealing the documents was actually false. Let me show you what he says. In it, he writes, the government's invocation of special circumstances, however, fails at the threshold. Its entire premise that the Maxwell grand jury materials would bring to light meaningful new information about Epstein's and Maxwell's crimes or the government's investigation into them is demonstrably false. That's a pretty tough statement for the judge to make. But wait, there's more. It's like an infomercial here. He continues to say that the grand jury documents wouldn't reveal anything new. Let me show you what he says there. In it, he writes, the court's review confirmed that unsealing the grand jury materials would not reveal new information of any consequence. In response to the court's order, the government supplied the court with a binder highlighting any information that the government had been unable to determine is public. Only scattered words, clauses, and occasional sentences are highlighted. These items are few and far between. The highlighted snippets supply, at most, tertiary details about the same conduct that was the focus of Maxwell's month-long trial. The same is so for the exhibits put before the grand juries. Save inconsequential portions of a few exhibits, these were received in evidence at Maxwell's trial. Some were reproduced in the Maxwell indictments. A member of the public familiar with the Maxwell trial record who reviewed the grand jury materials that the government proposes to unseal would thus learn next to nothing new. Again, very tough comments. Further, he said that anyone reading the documents would be disappointed. Let me show you what he continues to say. In it, he writes, insofar as the motion to unseal implies that the grand jury materials are an untapped mine lode of undisclosed information about Epstein or Maxwell or Confederates, they definitively are not that. A public official, lawmaker, pundit, or ordinary citizen deeply interested and concerned about the Epstein matter motion to unseal at 3 and who review these materials expecting, based on the government's representations, to learn new information about Epstein's and Maxwell's crimes and the investigation into them would come away feeling disappointed and misled. There is no there. Well, Judge also goes on and says that the DOJ's filing was not an act of transparency, but rather a diversion. Let me show you what he says there. He writes, the only colorable argument under the doctrine for unsealing in this case, in fact, is that doing so would expose a disingenuous the government's public explanations for moving to unseal. A member of the public appreciating that the Maxwell grand jury materials do not contribute anything to public knowledge might conclude that the government's motion for their unsealing was aimed not at transparency, but at diversion, aimed not at full disclosure, but at the illusion of such. And there is precedent in Ray Biaggi the fountainhead of the Second Circuit special circumstances doctrine, permitting a court to order the release of grand jury testimony to correct a movement's misleading public characterization of it. So in that statement, he's not just saying that this is not true. He's basically calling it a lie. Now, the last part that I want to read is the judge's comments on the way the request was handled. In fact, he points out that it actually came from Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche and not from the trial team. The judge turns around and writes, second, any argument that the government's motion to unseal merits substantial deference is weakened by a host of irregularities with respect to that motion. That motion was not made, nor has it been joined in by any member of the government's trial team. The DOJ lawyers presumably most familiar with the Maxwell case and the broader Epstein-Maxwell investigation. The motion was filed by the DAG alone, without any signatory from the U.S. Attorney's Office in this district. And it was made under circumstances suggestive of haste rather than reflective deliberation. The motion was 3.5 pages in length. There were no supporting materials filed under seal or otherwise. The motion did not disclose or reflect awareness of the summary witness nature of the Maxwell grand jury testimony. And the motion was made without advance notice to Epstein's and Maxwell's victims, a fact which, as reviewed below, has alarmed numerous victims. Only after the court inquired on that point was notice to victims given. Finally, the government's highlighting of the grand jury transcripts did not suggest close familiarity with the Maxwell trial record, because a number of details that it identified as non-public, in fact, had been testified to during the trial. I mean, this is actually a pretty scathing rebuke of whomever it was that wrote, let alone filed this, i.e. Todd Blanche. Now, let me be very clear to you. None of this is surprising, as grand jury documents are seldom released to the public. But Judge Engelmayer's decision was extremely revealing as to the government's goal. Over the weekend, well, here we go. Vice President J.D. Vance spoke with Maria Bartiromo on Fox. In fact, it's my Substack of the day. I call it J.D. Vance makes dumb look strategic. All right, where, again, he goes on Maria Bartiromo, on Fox, of course, and tries to claim, you can't make this stuff up. If he's going to hurt Trump, this is just the way to do it. Tries to claim that Epstein was a Democrat and that this is a Democratic issue. Now, two things. One, let me remind you that many years ago, President Trump was a Democrat as well. But two, it's not Democrats that are pushing for the unredacted release of the file. It is his own Republican Party, specifically the MAGA base. Play the clip.
Was it the right move for Cohen to send subpoenas to the Clintons?
It absolutely was, and it drives home how, while the Democrats have tried to make this Epstein thing about anything but, the fact that Democrat billionaires and Democrat political leaders went to Epstein Island all the time, who knows what they did, but it's totally reasonable to ask these questions. What you saw in the House's subpoena is they are trying to investigate all of the things related to this particular case. I know a lot of Americans want answers. I certainly want answers. And I think James Comer and the team of the House, they're doing the right thing. And of course, we know that Clinton, or allegedly he went to the island 26 times, 28 times. Totally appropriate for Comer to be asking what was going on at that island.
Let me get you.
You know, as I finish my Substack, of course, in my usual smart-ass way, I turn around and say to J.D. Vance, because right now, the only thing that your Sunday performance proved is that you're not Trump's secret weapon. You are his slow leak. And every time that you step in front of a camera without thinking, you make one thing very, very clear. The question haunting this White House isn't why won't Biden release the Epstein files? It's why won't Trump? And until you have an answer that doesn't make him look worse, just keep your mouth shut, stupid. And while you're at it, ease up on the eyeliner. Now, Maria also asks JD about the supposed strategy meeting that happened last week regarding this Epstein file. Now, look, like I've said before, and you've heard me say it, I don't know why they are denying the meeting. A strategy meeting would do them actually very well if you had somebody that truly understood Trump. Play the clip.
Can you give us some clarity on this meeting that is reportedly happening or happened last night at the White House about the Epstein files and how you're communicating the Epstein story?
So I've seen so many different fake reports about this. So let me set the record straight. There was no meeting at my house last night. There just wasn't.
Was there a meeting at the White House?
We did meet at the White House yesterday, but not at the time that they said that we were going to meet, and not about the subject that they said that we were going to meet about. We have a great FBI director and a great Department of Justice lead, Attorney General Pam Bondi, and we met to talk about how to ensure we have justice for the American people. We actually didn't talk about the Epstein issue at all. That was never meant to be the subject of the meeting. And it's one of those things where I guess somebody leaked a calendar entry maybe, and then people assumed that it must have been about Epstein, even though it had nothing to do with Epstein. On the Epstein issue, what the president has said very clearly, because we've had other meetings about that, is that he wants us to be fully transparent and he wants the credible information out there. So we're working to compile the thousands and thousands of documents that are out there for full transparency. But
wait, you're working to get it done? Because I certainly remember Pam Bondi and her acolytes and enablers there coming out with that 3-ring notebook saying the Epstein file, and it was supposed to be released imminently. The problem with this entire group is that they lie, and they think that there aren't videotapes that have been put out there by them in the past that demonstrate that they're lying. Now, of course, let's just keep the lies going. Vance also spoke about tariffs. Once again, lying to the American people that these tariffs will bring everyday Americans money. Sure. Where's mine? Play the clip.
Do it. The second thing the tariffs are doing is it's bringing in a lot of additional revenue, which of course we're using to give tax relief to the American people and make it easier for average Americans to get by. So
look, again, it's a lie. The problem is they all repeat it. Actually, this lie was repeated on Truth Social just this morning. Let me show you what it says. In it, it writes, tariffs are making our country strong and rich. No, it's not. In fact, I'm going to say it 1,000 times. The slogan is consumers pay tariffs, or tariffs are taxes. That money is not coming from foreign countries. It's coming from you, from me, from all of us. Now, like I say all the time, they're a tax. And while they're taxing us more, Americans continue to struggle to just pay for everyday items. And while all this is happening, what's Trump doing? Our president, he's busy making the Oval Office golden. Play the clip.
The transformation has been gradual and unmistakable. Here's what it looked like in November when Trump visited Biden after the election. By February, some golden urns on the mantle. April, gold adornments appear on the walls. By July, it's gold everywhere. Just this week, more scaffolding popped up. Even more new gold trim appeared. The room where presidents have long struggled with the big decisions has never looked so golden. And have you seen the Rose Garden lately? Jackie Kennedy's creation, the grass has now been replaced with bright white paving tiles. You might call it the Rose Patio. The latest addition this week, umbrellas, just like the ones on the patio at Trump's Mar-a-Lago club in Palm Beach.
You can't make this stuff up. That's why I constantly say, I need your help. Let's just grow this thing so we can put an end to this nonsense once and for all. And as always, thanks for listening. Hey everyone. First of all, thanks for watching. I mean, we're going to be posting daily episodes with reactions and talking about politics. We'll be talking about everything, in fact. So please like and subscribe. Join us on this journey.